Lost Transmissions, the premiere tonight at Manchester Film Festival. How excited are you to see the crowd's response to this one?
I'm very excited. Coming back here to, where Simon is really a national treasure, we definitely feel it. And we're, very excited to bring it to such enthusiastic audiences.
And this film for you is very personal in terms of the subject matter, very serious. Can you just delve into the plot and how that inspiration came back for yourself?
Sure, yeah. It's inspired by an experience I went through with a group of friends of mine back in Los Angeles in 2012, when a friend of ours had gone off his medication for schizophrenia. And so it fell to us to try to chase him around Hollywood Hills house parties throughout Los Angeles to try to get him help and committed. But we found that that's really difficult to commit somebody who doesn't believe that they're sick. And so it sort of discovered that that's really at the root of this homeless crisis that we're facing in this United States, and especially Los Angeles right now, and realized it was a very universal experience that was worth, making a movie about.
And Simon Pegg might not be the first person in mind when putting a film like this together. How did he come about in terms of the audition process, and was he from the get-go someone that you were targeting? Did you see something in his comedic performances that you could see could add something to this film?
Yeah, well, I like to see things like slightly differently. This film is a different take on mental illness, and I like the opportunity of viewing people in a different light or seeing different facets of them. And I think I've always, because I've known Simon as a creative person behind the makings of his films too. He's a writer as well. I just understood him to be a very dynamic person, and I did think of him pretty soon because he's actually quite similar in a sense to my friend who it was based on, who's quite funny. But it's just the way that humor is played is pretty unique in this drama. There's moments where he's saying things that are quite frightening. But then in retrospect, when you look back on them, they're pretty absurd and very funny. So it was always something that I knew it was going to be a tricky tone to land, and that Simon would be perfect for it. It was actually his role in The World's End that made me think of him, because he was sort of, he played this kind of rascally with nail and eye character. And when he was trying to convince Nick Frost to come with him on that pub crawl by telling him that his mom had died, but he was so good at really being sad and that telling that lie that I was like, oh, that's something more I want to see from him for sure.
What were the things that surprised you on your first film as a director, in terms of maybe managing the actors, meeting schedules? Was there anything that surprised you, and what was the best thing about that whole experience for yourself?
Yeah, it's funny in terms of surprises. I think it's always just internal things that you learn about yourself that surprise you the most. I mean, if you're really planning it out, I think, and we had a great crew and great producers, so everything did for the most part go according to plan. But it really is about when you find the good stuff, and it's sort of what helps you tap into that. And for me, it was always the freer moments. And one thing I learned was how much even actors can present differently on the eye versus on the camera. And sometimes for instance, Simon is such an amazing big movie actor. He really knows how to play for the big screen, and that registers slightly differently from a small monitor than when you're in the edit and then finally watching it in a movie theater. So I discovered, it was a surprise to discover that the takes that I thought were going to be the ones, it was always one slightly before it, because he is so good at just making that internal shift very deep within.
Who were the people that inspired you to get into the film business, and what is your story of how you got here where you are now?
I was studying English at Wellesley College. I was always interested in stories and storytelling, even from, telling, my dad was a great storyteller with my brothers, at nighttime. And I was always in the arts. My stepdad was an art dealer, so I sort of grew up around painting and all that. And it was really a film that came to be shot at my college, Mona Lisa Smile with Julia Roberts, that made me stop going to class and start working with the locations unit, and kind of just got the bug that way. And so it's just been, pursuing film ever since.
And in terms of the press that has come along with these sorts of things, how have you managed that? Do you enjoy discussing your films and Have there been anyone that have reached out based on the subject matter and said that it has changed their views on things and maybe helped them out in a similar situation?
Yeah, I mean, well, we get that, almost every screening. There's somebody who tells us that, we've shown something that they really relate to, or that we've gotten exactly right in terms of portraying someone who had a wife with schizophrenia, and that's, that means the most of everything. It is my first rodeo, and all this stuff, the red carpets have been glamorous and fun, but that's really been the most rewarding part of it, for sure.
Perfect. Well, I can't wait to see the film later on tonight. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.